welcome back to the channel. Today is a rather chaotic next week in the world of television, as secrets are about to be revealed amidst Holden's clandestine actions. What will happen when Claire discovers that Holden is actually Kane's brother and they're plotting to eliminate Victor? So let's just start with the absolute disaster that is currently unfolding between Kane Ashby, Holden Novak, and Claire Newman. Honestly, I have been staring at my screen for hours trying to process what the writers are actually doing here because it is just so messy. And I mean messy in the best way possible for drama, but messy in the worst way for these characters' lives. If you have been following the show for a while like I have, you know that Kane is not someone who just lets things go. A few episodes ago, we saw Nikki Newman completely blow the lid off Lily's fake kidnapping plot. Lily actually sat down with Victor Newman and faked a kidnapping with her own kids just to extort Kane's corporate assets. I mean, what even was that? The fans on social media have been absolutely tearing Lily apart, and honestly, they are not wrong. Devin went totally nuclear on her, and Kane. Kane is a man who has been pushed way past his breaking point. He spent weeks in agonizing panic thinking the mother of his children and his twins were in mortal danger. Now he knows it was all a sick corporate game orchestrated by Victor Newman. So Kane wants blood. He wants Victor to pay. And he is not just making empty threats anymore. But here is where things get really complicated. Kane needs someone on the inside. He needs someone who can get their hands dirty and do the heavy lifting in town while he pulls the strings. Enter Holden Novak. Holden is a whole other story. We saw Kane meet up with Holden on the patio at Crimson Lights, and Kane basically just laid it out there. He admitted he had another mission for Holden right here in town, and Kane didn't sugarcoat it either. He flat out hinted that things are going to get really ugly and asked if Holden was willing to get his hands dirty. Holden, being the absolute mercenary that he is, basically said he doesn't mind as long as the job pays well and he knows who he is going up against. So Kane drops the bomb. He asks if Holden is okay with acting against Victor Newman. And Kane promises that the job pays extremely handsomely. Now, let's just pause and think about this for a second. Holden needs money. He is broke. He is floating around Genoa City with no real purpose right now, and he desperately needs cash. Why? Because he wants to pursue Claire Newman. Yes, you heard that right. He wants to date Victor Newman's beloved granddaughter, and he needs money to do it. So he is literally considering taking a massive payout from Kane to destroy Victor, just so he can have the funds to impress Victor's granddaughter. I mean, you guys, what were they thinking? Who actually believes this is going to end well? It is so incredibly ironic and twisted that I almost have to laugh. But it gets darker. Let's be real here. Kane is not stupid. Kane knows exactly who Holden is hanging around with. Kane knows that Holden has been getting closer to Claire. So why would Kane, out of all the people he could hire, pick the guy who is trying to date Victor's granddaughter? It is not a coincidence. We strongly suspect that Kane wants Holden to use his connection to Claire to dig up dirt. Kane probably wants Holden to pump Claire for information about Victor's moves, Victor's weaknesses, and anything else that can give Kane the upper hand. That is just so incredibly manipulative and ruthless. Kane is literally willing to use an innocent girl's crush to destroy her family. It shows just how far Kane has fallen and how traumatized he is from the fake kidnapping. He just doesn't care who gets hurt anymore as long as Victor goes down in flames. Maybe I'm being too harsh on Kane. Okay, that sounded dramatic, but you get what I mean. He was pushed to this point, but using Claire. That is crossing a major line. And then there is Claire, poor, sweet, naive Claire. She is currently completely in the dark about this whole patio conversation between Kane and Holden. She is busy dealing with her own massive family drama. Right now, Claire is fiercely defending Victor against Kyle and Diane. If you remember last week, Victor literally kidnapped Jack Abbott, trapped him on an abandoned yacht, and unleash caddy Patty Williams on him to drug him and ruin his marriage. It was unhinged. Completely unhinged. Kyle and Diane have been aggressively interrogating Victoria about it, and Victoria is blindly defending Victor. Claire is sitting there watching this, feeling incredibly uncomfortable, but she is still taking Victor's side. She is arguing with Kyle, saying that Jack made a choice to break his vows. She loves her grandpa. She is so loyal to the Newman family, almost to a fault. She just wants peace. She doesn't want to see her family torn apart by these corporate wars. So imagine what is going to happen when Claire finds out that the new guy she is falling for is secretly on Kane's payroll to destroy the very grandfather she is fighting so hard to defend. It is going to absolutely crush her. But here is the real kicker. The spoilers and the latest plot hints are telling us that Claire is starting to get suspicious. She is not completely blind. The storyline is revealing that Holden has some secrets, and Claire is starting to feel confused and panicked. She is secretly noticing Holden's unusual actions. Maybe she catches him taking hush phone calls from Kane. Maybe she sees him sneaking around or asking weird, overly specific questions about Victor's schedule or Newman Enterprises. You know how it is on this show. A character always overhears something they shouldn't while standing behind a potted plant at the athletic club. Claire is going to start putting the pieces together, and she is going to realize that Holden is not just a regular guy who likes her. He is a guy with an agenda. And how is this going to affect their relationship? It is going to be an absolute disaster. Claire is already exhausted from the Abbott-Newman war. She is fighting with Kyle. She is watching her family get dragged through the mud, and the last thing she wants is to date a man who is actively targeting her beloved grandpa. If she finds out that Holden is using her for information to feed back to Kane, she is going to feel so incredibly used and betrayed. She has been through so much trauma in her past, and she finally thought she found a safe space with her Newman family and maybe a nice romance with Holden. But Holden is turning out to be just another toxic player in the Genoa City chess game. Let's talk about Holden's mindset for a minute because I am just baffled by his arrogance. Does he actually think he can pull this off? Does he really think he can play Kane for the money, help take down the most powerful and ruthless man in the city, and keep the girl? Holden is standing at this massive crossroads. He has to choose the money or Claire. He can't have both. But because he is Holden, and he is cocky and thinks he is smarter than everyone else in the room, he is going to try to achieve both goals. He is going to try to string Kane along, take the cash, maybe feed Kane some low-level intel that doesn't completely ruin Victor, and still try to sweep Claire off her feet. But come on, this is Victor Newman we are talking about. Victor has eyes and ears everywhere. If Holden even breathes wrong in Victor's direction, Victor is going to squash him like a bug. Holden is playing with fire, and he is holding a giant tank of gasoline. Plus, Holden already has so much other drama going on. He is currently dealing with Audra and Sienna and some dark secret from Los Angeles. He is stretched way too thin. He is telling Audra to stay away from Noah. He is worried about Sienna spilling secrets, and now he is taking on a mercenary job against Victor Newman while trying to date Victor's granddaughter. The guy is a walking disaster waiting to happen. I just keep thinking about how Claire is going to react when the truth inevitably comes out, because it always comes out. Will she confront him directly? Will she tell Victor? If Claire tells Victor that Kane hired Holden to spy on the family, Victor will unleash a level of hell on both Kane and Holden that we haven't seen in years. Victor is already fighting a massive war on multiple fronts. Nikki has turned against him, Jack is out for blood, Phyllis is causing chaos, and now Kane is hiring mercenaries. Victor is a cornered animal right now, and a cornered Victor Newman is the most dangerous kind. And what about Kane? Is Kane going to push Holden too far? Kane is paying him a handsome sum, which means Kane is going to expect results. When Holden inevitably hesitates because he actually starts to care about Claire's feelings, Kane is going to turn on him. Kane is not going to accept excuses. He wants Victor ruined. He wants the man who traumatized his children to pay the ultimate price, so Kane will probably threaten Holden. Maybe Kane will threaten to tell Claire the truth himself if Holden doesn't deliver the intel. It puts Holden in a completely impossible situation. Honestly, I feel bad for Claire in all of this. She is just collateral damage in a war between bitter, angry men. Kane is using her, Holden is using her, and Victor is probably going to use her too once he realizes what is going on. It fits perfectly into the show's usual style of taking a sweet, innocent romance and completely corrupting it with corporate greed and family vendettas. But this storyline feels a little different because of how raw Kane's pain is. Kane isn't just doing this for business, he is doing this out of pure, unadulterated revenge for his kids. And that makes him unpredictable. So what do you guys think? Is Holden going to actually go through with it and betray Claire? Or is he going to try to double-cross Kane to protect her? I really need to know what the writers are planning for the climax of this story. Because right now, it feels like we are watching a slow-motion train wreck and we can't look away. Every time Claire looks at Holden with those trusting eyes, I just want to scream at the screen. He is working for Kane. Run. But of course, she doesn't know. Not yet. Anyway. But she is getting closer. Those unusual actions of his are piling up, and Claire is a smart girl. She will figure it out, and when she does, the fallout is going to be epic. I'm going to keep watching this closely because this Holden and Claire dynamic is quickly becoming the most stressful part of my week. I mean, between this and Nick Newman's absolute downward spiral in Vegas, my nerves are shot. But that is why we love the show. Right, it keeps us coming back for more punishment. Alright, I'm going to wrap this rant up before I completely lose my voice. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Holden can actually pull this off? Or is Victor going to destroy him before he even gets started? What will Claire do next when she finds out Holden betrayed Newman? This channel specializes in analyzing, theorizing, and discussing plot points in the Young and the Restless series from the perspective of a longtime fan. Through this, viewers can gain deeper, more objective, and more interesting perspectives. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the latest news about the Young and the Restless series.